was not supposed to happen. Hi! So, I wanted to do a video on some of the best hacks that I have found for the autistic community to use, and for the most part, some of them are free, which is great news. And they're great tools, and not everybody knows about them. I often tell clients about them, and even they tell me some. So I actually come across one today, which prompted me to make this video, which was one of the hacks that a client of mine uses. And some of them are things that my friends have found too. So I compiled my favourite, so I'm going to do 6. But if you're watching and you have a favourite hack that absolutely helps you tenfold, helps you regulate, helps you cope, please do add it in the comments. Yes, for me, not just for me, but for other people who maybe are looking for some help and guidance with a particular thing, and maybe you have the answer, maybe I don't. Hi, I'm Jade. I am a person-centered private therapist who runs my own private practice, JMS Wellbeing. That is where I am recording today. So let's dive right in to the first thing that right now, for me, is probably one of my favourites, and I use it multiple times a day because it is just so great. And again, it's the finding the right way to utilise it, but once you've found it, I'm telling you, you will never go back to not using it. And that is ChatGPT. You might have heard of it, you might not have heard of it. It's basically an AI tool that's completely free. It does offer a premium or a plus version, which I don't actually have. I'm considering using it, but I need to see what that entails first. But I use it for so many things. I use it for helping me create catchy titles. So if I can't think of all these words I want to compile into a shorter phrase, it helps me do that. But the main thing that I think is one of those usages that many people don't really know that it has available is asking for advice and talking things out. And you might think that is rubbish, but I tell you now, the amount of times that the way that the wording is phrased and how undeniably helpful it is, I always thank it. Even though it's not a person, I always say thank you because it is undeniably helpful. So that could be that I'm working through some sensory difficulties at the moment. What would your advice be? And you can ask it to even maybe say that in a friendly, friend tone, or in a professional manner if you would want it of a more professional sort of guidance. And it's pretty much just free, superb advice that is compiled from everything that it can find. So useful. Also, tell me if you've used any of these, because I would be interested to see how many people utilise some of these hacks that I found. Number 2 would be Goblin Tools. You can never forget the name of that. Goblin Tools is basically another online resource. I tend to use it on my computer more, and it will basically, I will ask for help on a task. So it's like a task breakdown. If I'm unclear on something, so I need more kind of information about that thing, it will help with that. Or in particular, what I tend to use it for is breaking down a task into manageable and understandable subcategories. So then, and it also has the option where once it has broke it down for you, you can basically, once you've completed that, just press it and it just crosses it out, which is always really pleasing if you're anything like me and you need to, 1, get it outside of the head, but also 2, you like to watch it disappear and not burden you any longer. So that's another tool that I just think is so profoundly useful. And another one, this one is not mine, so these are going to be 2 things I talk about, but they are so useful for the autistic community. One was from a client and one was from a friend. If you are anything like me or them, you may struggle with one, change, and you also may struggle with feeling such high levels of anxiety because you have no ability to prepare, because you don't know what that looks like or what you might need to do or what would be expected of you in new situations. Does that sound familiar? Well, these ones are going to help you tenfold. So the first one would be that you might or might not know about social stories. Social stories are basically the idea that some social interaction and new social interactions for neurotypical people or a neurotypical person comes very naturally. They're quite comfortable. They don't feel any level of anxiety about just throwing themselves into a new situation, seeing how that materializes and gaining the skills along the way. For the autistic community, that is rarely the case, and the social stories that are available in school are often generated in a resource folder by probably or helped by an assistant or a teacher, or probably a teaching assistant or anybody in that sort of pastoral role. However, when we enter adulthood, other than asking somebody, and we might not always feel comfortable doing that, we might not have a social story, but wait for it. We have found one. So I will add my friend in. She's called Lizzie Loves, and she's brilliant, and she's going to be creating some content soon. But she said that she won't mind me saying this, but she was like, I've never had a fill-in, and she now needs a fill-in, or has been told she does, and she's like, I don't know how to prepare for that. So you can basically, do you know, like a lot of people watch these come with me for a day of doing whatever event, or let me show you how to do. So how to do videos, and also the kind of come with me on a day of videos, which are everywhere, by the way. You will find one that is probably very specifically for the thing that you are searching for. So it could be come with me to the dentist for the first time, or come with me to my gynecology appointment. And the reason I think these are so helpful, and I guess this might be also the reason why I never knew why I would watch them, because it's a bit vloggy and social media, which is not my personal thing, but I would find myself pulled into these things, especially things that I didn't know how to prepare for, because I'd not had the experience of going through that process myself. So some have more detail than others, but again, scout through them, go onto YouTube, go onto TikTok, even potentially have a look on Facebook or Instagram, depending on what platform you're on, maybe even LinkedIn, but you will find it. You will find it. And the other one links to this, so it's still number 3. My client said there is a place, because we talk about how much we love Reddit, because there is this abundance of really, really helpful advice for the most part of people who really just want to help guide and, help people understand where they might be going wrong, or help them understand something that they might not already understand, or have some advice that they might not have considered. And we love Reddit for that. And they said that there is a Reddit, which is basically like a group on there, which is called No Stupid Questions. And you can ask specifically without having to feel exposed, because you don't have your own identity on there. You can have quite an anonymous profile. And you can ask questions like, and one of them was that they read, I'm really interested in going to Subway, but I know there's a lot of categories and expectations about how I basically go through the process of ordering my sandwich. Can anybody help me? And somebody literally broke it down step by step, detail by detail, and that person will now feel so much less anxious and more prepared for when they feel ready to potentially challenge that task. How golden are them? I think that one, number 3, it has to be probably my favourite for the autistic community. And then moving on to number 4, which would be create yourself a sensory bag. Even if, right, you are on the hypo profile or the hyper profile, I'm promising you this will help. So in mine, I will input a video. I have a talk through, which basically, if I'm feeling overwhelmed to any capacity, whether that is socially overwhelmed, whether that is emotionally overwhelmed, I'm task overwhelmed, or whether I'm having, sensory or whatever it might be, basically, my brain gets foggy. It feels like glue. It feels like tar. I can't move. I can't think in the clear, functional way I can when I'm optimal. So I have like a guidance book of how to reset my nervous system, and I will go through those tasks methodically and one by one. And I have the sensory profile things that I can potentially lean into also in that bag. So I might have something that I can smell, something that I can touch my skin with, something that I can mess with, something that I can visually see. So one of them being this. This is something that is very discreet, but you will find me always. It helps me with processing, actually. It helps me think, fidgeting and stimming. And it can be, you know, something to smell. And again, something that I might do is if I'm feeling a little bit of overwhelm, I might spray something. So the one that I've got is Snow Fairy from Lush. Don't know if I'm allowed to mention that here. Hopefully I am. And I spray it on my sleeve, usually, because obviously I've not got one on today. And I'll just... And it brings me back to my senses, and it is something that I've chosen. So it's something that's not going to overwhelm me, and it helps me kind of re-enter my body and reset my nervous system. I think that is golden. And you can create this yourself. Like, I created it for probably less than a £5, no more than a £10, and I just accumulated them over time. So it's just something that you can build up and add to and exchange and move things out. Another great thing could be something like popping candy to kind of bring your taste senses, or even like a sour sweet, or whatever actually you like. Maybe you like mints or something like that. The fifth one would be create or find resources to help you understand yourself. Again, I'm going to input a video of some of the ones that I use. One is one that I've created myself, and one is one that I just literally bought off Etsy. You can find these if you had the time and the energy, and potentially just going on blogs saying, you know, for example, 50 questions to help me understand myself better, and you will find it on Google. And you can literally write it in a diary, a book, a journal, or you can save it to your phone or write in the notes on your phone. It doesn't have to be expensive. I like to have a physical thing. But these are ways in which, when you are in an okay place, if you get to explore these whilst you are still able to access the answers, or even explore the answers, even if you don't have the answer immediately. Something for me personally is I process later, so I might not have an immediate answer, but it might just start to slot into place after a couple of days as I start to notice, how do I handle anger? Now I've had time to think about that. And the more you understand yourself, the better equipped you will be to be able to help yourself and deal with things and work through things and understand why you do things and offer yourself grace and understanding. I can't stress this one enough. It is the free alternative to therapy, I guess, and I know I'm a therapist, so it's not something that I would advise if I didn't think it was useful. Don't get me wrong, there is something undeniably important about getting it outside of self and sharing it with somebody who's safe, and I would absolutely advocate for anybody who can afford it to go down the private therapy route, because I know that it's absolutely golden and life-changing. However, we don't always have the money for that, and there are other ways in which you can help yourself. And you know, it could be that you journal on the latest audiobook because you found out some really interesting, valuable things, and then you explore how that fits into your level of understanding about self. And the last one would be, which is a really simple one, creating a safe space. It sounds really simple and almost like, well, we've all got a safe space, but I mean really utilising that safe space. I'm going to try and input a picture, but I couldn't find it when I went back to it, which was the idea that I love this so much. It was something along the lines of, when they was feeling overwhelmed, they would basically go under the table. And they happened to mention this to a friend, clearly a very, very good friend. And the next time that they was feeling overwhelmed and they went under their table, there was like a little bag and a note off their friend in there. And I can't stress enough how having a safe space with safe items in there, things that will help you, things that will regulate you, that is specifically for you, that is somewhere you can go, even if it's just the corner of a room that you decorate it in the way that you need to decorate it, or it's got the blanket and a cushion there that is your favourite because you like the way that it feels on your face, or you have your sensory bag in that particular area. You know, it could be underneath, like I say, a table that might be something that other people might not be able to access because they might not need to do that. But what if you do? It might just be your room, but how about having a specific area of the room, and it could be a bed, but maybe now you put some things down the side of your bed to really generate creating a safe space that you've created with your favourite things to help you decompress, re-regulate, and help yourself, that you know you've created for your own well-being to help yourself through whatever it is that you're going through at the time. And you can associate it with you helping yourself, and you can associate it with you basically re-regulating and recharging to be able to almost start anew. And I think that that is, again, an undeniably really helpful tool. So, one, are all these potential tools things that you've come across? And don't forget, if you've got better ones or ones that you think, do you know what, everyone needs to know all this, like I say, please put them in the comment section below. I hope it's been helpful, and I will see you real soon.